Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Jalen. We're doing our Louisiana Raging Cajun versus Southern Miss preview. In addition, we're going to go recap what happened last night with the Louisiana Raging Cajun men's basketball team taking on Youngstown State Penguins. The women's basketball team also got a win last night as well. Opening night was a big success for the sport of basketball for the Cajun. We're also going to be taking a look at the volleyball team as well, and make our picks for all the Sun Belt football games for this week coming up here. Without further ado, let me introduce everybody to my co-host here, Jalen. How you doing today, Jalen?
I'm doing good, Chief. Short week for the Cajuns. Let's see if they can bounce back and get this dub against Southern Miss. But yeah, I'm excited.
This was kind of like one of those weird games on Saturdays. Young Chris went down with a very significant injury. His season's basically finished. Ben Woodward is still hurt, so occasionally going to work on their third starting quarterback. Coming up Thursday, Chandler Fields is looking like he's going to be the starter for that game here. Now they got um Dwayne Winfield sitting there, who's also nicknamed as Lunch, also on the roster as well here as they're going to take on the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Southern Miss so far this year is 2-7. They're 1-5 in Sun Belt Conference play. The Cajuns are 5-4, 2-3 in Sun Belt play. Now, the Cajuns had to win out from this point last week. Me and you both picked the Cajuns to win. And I thought maybe that this might have been a turning point and maybe they could find some consistency, but that was not the case to be on Saturday here. The Cajuns really essentially defense played terrible, giving up a lot of yards. The offensive line for Arkansas State dominated UL's defensive line and just kept pushing them back, and they were able to control the line of scrimmage for the majority of that game. And the Cajuns could never really recover from it at any point there. They physically just got manhandled up front. But the Cajuns are going to I guess the easiest part of their schedule with Southern Miss, ULM, and Troy's in there, but that's not really, you know, I mean they're the biggest threat they have left. Cajuns have to win one game to become bowl eligible. They're favored by 10 at Cajun Field this Thursday night on 6:30 at ESPNU. So Jalen, what was things that you saw on Saturday?
Well, I saw a Raging Cajun team that really struggled offensively and really defensively. I mean, Zion Chris played throughout most of the game before he ended up getting injured. Chandler Fields came in. He played okay for somebody that hasn't been playing a lot over the years, but he came in and he kind of really struggled too. He had an interception. He lost the fumble. He tried to run a couple times and didn't get much. I mean, it was stagnant on offense, and which led to Arkansas State being able to come in offensively themselves and run all over our defense. I mean, Jalen Rayner had a great game. He didn't throw not one passing touchdown for the Arkansas State, but yet he had two rushing touchdowns. He looked unstoppable on the ground all night. I mean, this is a game that the Cajuns had to win and they didn't, which sucks. But not only did they lose, they lost by 20 points to a team I felt like that the Cajuns were better than. But Arkansas State, hats off to them. I mean, they came out with a game plan and they executed thoroughly, and they beat us.
I think one of those things there in that game was how one thing to lose, but the way they lost was really bad too, because there was such hope going into Arkansas State for a big win against South Alabama. Then you go into Arkansas State and you lay this egg here. Offense was stagnant. It looked like Arkansas State wanted it more. I think at some point in the game, you got to ask yourself here is, how's our team doing? Are we consistent? Consistency is the key to winning any championship. If you're able to be consistent throughout, you do your preparations and maintaining that high level of play, you will, get the benefit of the doubt and be able to win games and championships and that kind of thing. And that's the one thing the Cajuns have struggled with. I will even say since Dez even took over, just finding consistency in anything, whether it's offense or defense. They seem to be inconsistent since Desimbo has taken over, but I mean, that's not a knock on Dez. Well, is it a knock? I mean, some people are gonna say it is, but just to be, that's just a conversation piece we have to have here. I said at the beginning of the season, I said it multiple times before that the team should win 8 games, 8-4, and then I said it on one of the episodes that if they didn't reach that 8-win mark, then question marks gonna be started being raised, and I think we're starting to see that now on social media. Is Desimo the guy? Like they're gonna come and ask that question here, and it's gonna only get worse if they don't win like at least two. If they don't beat Southern Miss and they don't beat ULM, because the Cajuns should always win every single game against ULM. ULM has one of the lowest operating budgets in all of college football. They probably have the lowest, I think. Don't fact check me on that, but they're definitely like way down to the bottom. The Cajuns should not even be in the same whirlwind of like competition with them. So with all that being said, though, I think the Cajuns do have this. They have a problem. I mean that's just the way it is. I think they have to figure out how to get some consistency going because if they don't, we're gonna see more of the same. I mean, year after year. So, um, this is only year two, but I'm willing to give Desmo another year. I don't think it's. I think it's too early to start calling for like jobs and stuff, which I saw on the football fan page. I look at that stuff and I go through it and see what people are saying here. To get a pulse of what the fan base is saying, not just what I'm saying. But they got some people there that are defending Desimo. They got some people that are starting to raise the question about it. So, where are you at on that spectrum, Jalen? Do you think that is it early to call for Desimo or what? Desimo's job or what?
Yeah, I think it's really too early. I mean, he is in year two, and most coaches start to build a program back when they get to year three. But I think they're in a good spot, not a great spot. Now, I will say this: if they lose to Southern Miss on Thursday, then yeah, it has to be into question. Des, what are you doing? Like we know you're in year two, but you can't lose to Southern Miss. They're there. The only win they have in the Sun Belt is against ULM, so that'll look really bad. But other than that, I mean, even if they beat Southern Miss and they beat ULM and they lose to Troy or they beat Troy, either way they'll end up with another bowl game. And I think could go into year three with some momentum if they're able to finish out the season with 3 wins. We'll see. They go 2-1. Never know.
Yeah, I mean, like if they win, they'll be having 8 wins on the year. I mean, like that 8 win mark is what I really set before in the preseason, and I really think that was that's their mark that they have to hit. I think with the schedule it was very favorable. They could have even did better than that. I thought 8 wins was the floor I gave the Cajuns, and I think the ceiling was 10 wins. I saw a very good schedule ahead of them, and for like if you're gonna underperform it looks bad. Like I think that was the expectation of the fan base to get 8 wins. And like cause that's what I saw on like them different forums, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just the feel and just like what people's comments were and just everybody was expecting a 7 to 8 win season. Now 7 wins is definitely more attainable right now than I think the 8 wins are. But I mean, you could fluctuate back and forth, but I thought the schedule 8 wins. But let's talk about this Southern Miss team. Southern Miss is, you know, Frank Gore Jr., right? His son, um, just a phenomenal athlete. He's got 163 carries so far this year, 812 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaging 5 yards a carry. Now, I wish he was on the Cajuns team over than Southern Miss, but Southern Miss definitely treats this game as a rivalry game. Southern Miss is 2-7. They only have 2 wins on the year. So Cajuns are favored by 10. I think this is gonna be one of those that if you look at this here, if the Cajuns can control the line of scrimmage, I think they'll do very well in this game here. So I think line play has to be addressed. I think that's one thing that um you need to look at whenever you're comparing both these teams here. And that is something that really does need to be looked at here. So if you're looking at, let's look at Southern Miss's defensive ranking so far. So this has been one of the kind of things you have to look at as you we're gonna go look in details and stuff. So offensively, the Golden Eagles rank 102nd in the country, 80th in yards a game, 112 in points slash play, yards play 103, third down conversion 72. They're only converting 37.6% of their third down, and fourth down conversions 111, red zone 97. So they struggle. They have completely struggled on the offensive side of the ball this year. Rushing, their rushes a game like 39. They're running the ball a good bit, 27. So as far as the defensive side of the ball, it's even worse if you could imagine that. So opponent points the game is 38.5. They're 126. Opponent yards a game 121. Opponent points per play 131. Opponent yards per play 131. Opposing third down conversion 40%, 84. Opposing fourth down conversion is 106 here. Opposing red zone scoring, often they team out of the end zone, they give away a touchdown in the red zone 88% of the time. So as you keep going passing statistics, pass play, their play calling, but they call a pass play about 47% of the time. 78, then completion percentage is 128. So yeah, you get the picture, Jalen. Not very good on offense and defense side of the ball. So if you want to ask, well, where do the Cajuns rank? So if we pull up the Cajuns here, oh, they have the little results and trends. I was wondering if they were going to have that there too. Oh, it's like this kind of stuff. Team rankings is always one of my favorite things to look at because it gives a good synopsis of how your team's doing, obviously. So as we go look up the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, pull that up real quick for y'all so we can compare some rankings here. So how well do the Cajuns do here? So based on what we see here, and I'm trying to see where this stuff's even at. It gave me an overview. There's projections, results, and trends against the spread, oh, that's the rating stuff. Okay, I was like, where's the defensive stats here? They didn't give me any like predictive rank 5 and 4, 10th place Sun Belt. I was wondering if it had any I wonder what this prediction thing is. Overview. Okay, so it does have some other stuff on here. So if you're going to compare both teams, Cajuns at yards of play 6.2, points per play 0.463, rushing play 57.17. But that's the Cajuns' bread and butter running the football. Pass play 42.83%, completion percentage 66%, third down conversion 43%, red zone scoring 78%. So every category except pass play percentage of what they call offense beats Southern Miss's offense. Defense, yards per play 5.5. 0.39 and opposing percentage, completion percentage, Cajuns give us 67%. Third down conversion, Southern Miss is a bit better on 40%. Red zone scoring, Cajuns are a little bit better than at stopping them in the red zone. So, Jalen, what you think about all this?
I think the numbers don't lie, and it tells you right there the Cajuns are a very superior team than Southern Miss. And the Cajuns should easily win this game Thursday night. Something is wrong if they don't, but they'll come out with the win because they're just the overall better team. And this game can be a setup game for them when they go to take on Troy the next week. So this game should be a game to where a lot of people should be able to play. A lot of guys that haven't been playing much this year should see some reps, and it should be over with by halftime. Honestly, but we'll see what happens.
So, like ranks for the Cajuns, they're 39th in points a game, 49th in yards a game, points per play 28, yards per play 26. Very good offense of production, right? So number 30, four down conversion, 57, red zone scoring 91. Rushing yards of play 12, rush of the game 49 and 14. I think that Desmo, I think he deserves another year for sure. I'm not a fan of firing guys after 2 years. I'm not like one of those like, yeah, you got to get rid of him right here. But I mean, it's a question to be asked, right? So I think fans always want that. There were some fans that wanted Napier going at some point. So That's one thing you gotta look at and just kinda laugh at it here. But if he's not the guy, eventually we all will figure it out and, just keep going that way. So, without further ado, I'm tired of talking football here, but before we get done with all that, let's pick some Sun Belt games, then we'll switch over to basketball. So, Jalen, who you picking out of the Cajuns and the Golden Eagles? Who you got?
Oh yeah, I'm going with the Cajuns. I'm gonna give them 40 points. I think they'll score a lot of points. And I can't imagine how many Southern Miss is possibly is going to score, but I'm gonna give the Cajuns 40 points. It's going to be an easy win for them.
I think the Cajuns win Thursday night. I think they bounce back. I think they handle the adversity. I think they get going. They get the run game going against Southern Miss's defense. I got the Cajuns winning this one as well here. I think a 17-point victory is what's going to happen here on Cajun Field on Thursday night. So hopefully that's the case. We'll see what happens when we get down to it. So Old Dominion taking on the undefeated Liberty, 9-0. So yeah, I don't know what happened there. Random pop-up videos, right? So Old Dominion taking on Liberty. I got hmm, Liberty winning that one. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, I have Liberty win this game also. I mean, I know Old Dominion's been playing pretty well throughout the course of the year, especially defensively. But I think Liberty's going to take this one.
UConn versus James Madison. Give me the Dukes, man. I think James Madison takes care of business. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with James Madison also taking on another group of five team right there in UConn. But hey, you saw James Madison trying to get that waiver from the NCAA. They won a bowl game, and I honestly do not blame them. They're having a terrific year.
Yeah, they earned it 100%. Completely earned that. They should give it to him, but I mean, I think it's a silly rule. The rule shouldn't even exist.
Yep.
App State versus Georgia State. I got Georgia State winning this one. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Georgia State in this one. I mean, Georgia State went from a team that could possibly win the Sun Belt East, and now they're kind of in the middle of the pack. I mean, it's crazy how a couple games can change a lot of things. But I'm gonna go with them against App State.
Troy versus ULM. I got Troy winning that one easily. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, ULM doesn't have a win yet in the Sun Belt. They're going to be 0-7. I'm gonna go with Troy in this game.
Texas State versus Coastal Carolina. Give me Texas State. They go into Conway and get the win. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, Texas State on the road. I think they're going to come out with the win. Coastal, you see, they're right behind James Madison right there in the East. It's crazy. We were talking about how they were at the bottom of the barrel a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they're definitely making the climb there for sure in the Sun Belt. Arkansas State taking on South Alabama. Now, this one I'm more interested in. Arkansas State's still alive in the West here, so but I think it ends in Mobile. I got South Alabama winning that game. They're fighting for a bowl. Who you got, Jalen?
This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with South Al on this one. I think they really have to bounce back after losing bad to the Cajuns the other week, and then they lost to at Troy. Yeah, they're gonna have a bounce back game when they're at home against Arkansas State.
Georgia Southern taking on Marshall. Give me Georgia Southern. I think they take care of business. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jordan Southern also. I think they're another team that literally is right there with Coastal that could possibly win the Sun Belt East. So yeah, I'm gonna go with them against Marshall.
So if you look at the standings here, James Madison at the top of the conference, but they can't play in the conference championship game. So um you got Coastal right there, Georgia Southern's right there. So they're almost basically tied. Coastal played one more conference game than them. And looking at the remaining schedule here for Coastal, Coastal does take on Texas State Army, and they will get a shot at James Madison as their last game of the year. Whereas Georgia Southern, they're going to take on Marshall, Old Dominion, and App State. So Coastal, they did beat Coastal, so they definitely have a tiebreaker game in there. So we'll see what happens here as we keep going through the treachery of the Sun Belt. the the trench basically of Sun Belt. So without further ado here, let's talk about Louisiana Raging Cajun men's basketball here real quick here. Early season start here, Cajuns pick up the win. Fishbowl Radio was there. Recording all the sights and the sounds. You know what we do. So they go on the road to take on Toledo this weekend here. Toledo also won their game, then they take on Louisiana Christian this next Wednesday coming up here. We'll pick both those games, Jalen. Um, what you thinking?
I think the men's basketball team they had an okay game. I'm gonna say okay game against Youngstown State. I think they were down 20-8 with like 8 minutes to go in the first half, and Coach Marlin had to call a quick timeout, try to settle things down, and then they picked things up and they just took over for the rest of the game. So I think they had a really good game. Themis Folks, who was in the transfer portal not too long ago, he decided to come back to the Cajuns. Their starting point guard, he led all scorers with 20. He played a really good game. Joe Charles in the starting lineup, put up 13. So I think the Cajuns have a mixture of veterans and some young guys that's new to the team, and they're looking good so far. But you have to you can't judge it based off of one game. But after that one game, they look really good.
Look, Toledo's not no walkover team here. Last year they finished 26-8. They were 16-2 in the MAC, so this is gonna be a really good matchup for the Cajuns, I believe here. Um, and they made it to the NIT. They got lost to Michigan in the first round last year, so that's one of those things that we're gonna have to look and see what happens between those two here. The Cajuns, like Youngstown State, was also a very good team. If you look up these teams, they're not playing no cupcakes here. So I was really I they started off slow. They were shooting the ball, and I was worried about the down low play with Jordan Brown not being there, him transferring to Memphis. How was that going to transfer into this game against Youngstown State? And well, I guess we'll see in Toledo how that's going to work here. But I think the Cajuns here, they look I do they pass the eye test? It's still kind of hard to say. We're real early here. Like, I mean, everybody that has won has an RPI ranking of 1. So apparently everybody's the best team in the country that won last week. But RPI does change as you lose and you win and we don't know who's good and who's not good yet, but that will all be sorted out here. I got the Cajuns losing though to Toledo. I think Toledo does beat them. Because I just think that everybody's still kind of gelling and they're still trying to find who's gonna be that guy. Themis Folks played a great game. He had a lot of energy when he came out, and I think it kind of hurt him a little bit having too much energy out there on the floor because too much energy can be a bad thing too for you. So that's one thing. But once he settled down, got in the groove, the Cajuns are starting to make shots. If they can get that 3-point ball going, the Cajuns will be a very good team this year. But I think they'll drop the game to Toledo just to come back and win against Louisiana Christian. And as we'll progress more and talk more about this team whenever they get some more games on their belt because this is going to be an interesting year because I'm wondering to see if they can repeat a Sun Belt Conference tournament champions and maybe even win the regular season this year too as well. So Jalen, without further ado, let's go start switching to Louisiana women's basketball themselves. They won their home opener as well against Spring Hill out of Mobile. They won 75-45, a 30-point win. It was really hard to judge this team based on based on what we saw, right? So they got Auburn coming up. I don't think they'll beat Auburn. I think they'll lose that one. Kent State, I think they'll beat Kent State. I think they'll go 1-1. That's the Max Sun Belt Challenge, and they take on Nichols on November 18th here. But they're going to be at home on Sunday, November 12th, when they take on Kent State. So it'll be fun. It's going to be free admission. You can just go in there and you can watch all the women's basketball games for free. So it's going to be it's definitely a very nice event to go attend. I mean, you can go. It's free. So make the most of it. Basically, the best things in life they come free. So that's one thing there. So Jalen, what you think about coming up for women's basketball?
I think women's basketball they looked pretty good against Spring Hill the other night. Now, I know it's just one game, and I know they didn't play the biggest team. They have Auburn coming up, big SEC school, which I see them losing, but they might put up a good fight, but it's it's crazy how you see Tamara Johnson. She's improving every year since coming out of LCA. I mean, she scored 15 points. She got 9 boards. I mean, you knew uh they would be missing inside help from in the past. But with Tamara just being there, played 20 minutes, she could be the next inside presence that the Cajuns get. And she can shoot a little bit on the outside too. So she could be the next great Cajuns player. And then to see Brandy Williams coming back from last 2 years or so, having injuries, having her season cut short, just her scoring 5 points. I know she scored way more than she should score, but just her being out there in the starting lineup, her back playing, her getting comfortable, and her trying to gel with all the new players on the team is what the Cajuns need to be successful. So I see them. They could possibly have a great year. I think they'll finish higher than what they were predicted, sixth in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, that's usually the kind of the sweet spot, you know. I mean, this team isn't that far removed from winning a Sun Belt title. I mean, they won in 2021, so they're not it's not very far off here. You got Gary Brawhead, he knows how to get in those games and win them. So the future's looking good for the Cajuns for sure. I think they can if they got two non-division one teams later on after Nichols, Xavier and Loyola out of New Orleans, and they play Uno, the University of New Orleans as well. So that's gonna be one thing we're gonna have to look at here as we continue looking at these teams here, because this is kind of like the game they had basically when I was watching both these. The girls they were just bigger, they had more length on them. You know, they were able to dominate the post and able to get rebounds easier than Spring Hill, and that made a big difference in the game there. But I want to see how they do against Auburn before I make it like a more of a judgment, right? You're going to go to one extreme to the other extreme, so we'll see what happens with all that once we get down to it. But without as we keep going on here, let's talk about Louisiana Raging Cajun volleyball here. So Jalen, we're getting down to the end of the season for volleyball. They're going to take on App State at 6 p.m. Friday. Earl K. Long will be rocking. Jalen, what we doing? Well, we're gonna pick the Cajun win both because I got them winning both games. Who you got
Oh yeah,
both matches?
absolutely. This is two games that not only the Cajuns need to win, but they should win. App State is kind of right there at the bottom of the East Division, where the Cajuns are in the middle of the West. They're sitting at 16 and 12, 6 and 6, and in the division conference play 7 and 7. But I think it's just the Cajuns have to end the season off strong. I think they'll do that at home against App State, and then win next Wednesday on the November 15th when they get to the Sun Belt tournament. They have to make some noise.
So speaking of Sun Belt tournament, let's start looking at this bracket, how it looks like it's going to play out here real quick, because this is going to be one of those that the based on what they have it for everybody, the sixth and the seventh and all that kind of good thing here. So here's how the Sun Belt bracket plays out on day one, which is November 15th, the Wednesday, like you alluded to, Jalen. The number 6 seed in the West will take on number 7 in the East. At 2:30, then at 5 p.m., it's going to be number 6 in the East seed take on the number 7 seed. So with all that there, you kind of like the more you win, the higher up you will play later on in the tournament. So the higher seed you are, the better it is. So if you're number 3 in the East, you play the winner of match one, which is the winner out of number 6 West and number 7 East. So if the Cajuns are able, let me see here. I'm gonna run a little prognosis here and just kind of see what's all going on here. So let's look. The Cajuns are currently 4th in the West. They're 6 and 6. If they win both those games, they won't move up. So I'm trying to see if they have a West, where number 4 in the West would be at. So the Cajuns will be playing Thursday. They will play number 5 in the East. So that's looking like it's gonna be Marshall and Old Dominion. They're both tied for like 4th. So if they beat App State, but the Cajuns could very well, if they lost both of them, they would be, and Southern Miss would have to win both their games as well. So there's stuff that could change. They could very well be if you're looking at the Cajuns, they could go be 5th in the West, which would put them at 7 o'clock against number 4 in the East. So you want to be at least higher up so you play a lower ranked team, which could be Marshall or Old Dominion. So like honestly, they're gonna either play Old Dominion or Marshall. That's basically what I'm looking at here, depending on the results, because it's 4-8, 4-8. And Cajuns, if they beat App State's 2-10. If they beat them once, they can't have enough games to recuperate going past Marshall or Old Dominion. So I got them finishing 4th in the West. I think they're gonna end up playing at 1:30 on Thursday. If they win that, they'll go to, let's see, that is match 4, and they'll play the number 1 team in the East at 1:30 on Friday if they win that one. So they'll have to play 2. If they manage to beat that one, let's see, match 4, that'd be the winner of match 8. You have to play the winner of match 7, which would be between number 2 in the West and the winner of match 3, which they have it all figured out. It's a lot of matches that you have to play here. So the Cajuns are looking at 4 or 5 matches before 4 matches before they get to the end goal here. So we'll see what happens. I think they'll both win both their games against App State. So anything you want to say, Jalen, before we get off here?
I just want to say, everybody, don't forget the NBA season is back, and the Pelicans look pretty good this year so
If the Pelicans can stay healthy,
far.
that is the thing. If they stay healthy, it's going to look pretty good. Health has been their biggest hindrance for God knows how long.
Oh yeah, you're
So
right.
we'll see. All right. Thank y'all for tuning into the Fishbowl Radio here. I hope you have a great and wonderful week. We'll see y'all here next time here on the Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.